Welcome, low ego action heroes. It's Debbie Levitt from a hotel room, not on my regular computer. I think that was the slowest explosion ever. Sorry, I'm not on my usual computer. I'm in a hotel room. Hey, it's office hours. Ask me anything. The one later today is canceled. I've got something else cooking, but today is on, provided my setup is working. It may be a little laggy. It's amazing how much you can pay for a gaming computer and still have a crappy stream. So why? Hey, people are saying hi, and I don't even see who. Hi, Pradeep. How are you doing today? So it's office hours. Ask me anything. My voice is a little shot. I am back to public speaking, and I think I spoke for 8 hours yesterday. So I joke it's my Kathleen Turner voice, which is an American actress who was popular in the 80s. I also had to put on a lot of stage makeup to not look like a complete disaster. This hotel room is a little dark and weird, so I apologize if I look a little pancakey, as we say. I'm doing my best, everybody. So, hey, I'm here to answer your questions. So you can ask them live in the chat or you can send them to the link, the anonymous link at deltacx.com/links. I also don't have a green screen, so this is just a hotel room behind me. As always, I want to thank our wonderful supporters for clicking the join button on YouTube and supporting the show with some American dollars each month. And I always thank you for keeping me in streaming software and chocolate chips, though on my way out in the airport, I had to buy this chocolate. Not sponsored, but really good. So if you ever are in an Italian airport and you run into Venki chocolates, yum yum. Not sponsored, but thanks to all of you. So we don't have any questions yet today because if you sent one in the last week, I left it on the other computer. I'm so sorry. I thought it was synchronizing over to this one, and it isn't. So if you've got any questions, please put them live in the chat. Normally I hang out here about an hour, but if we don't get any questions in the next whatever minutes, I will just wind down and go back to my work. If you are attending UX Copenhagen, that is where I am. So, hello from Copenhagen, and you can also attend remotely. So you do not have to fly to Copenhagen to learn that in real life I am short and chubby. All right, I think I have everything finally set up. Am I live? I don't even really know. We've got a hello from Pradeep, so that's a good sign. Stream Elements is running. Yeah, so I don't know what else to tell everybody. Most of the shows this week have been canceled because of my adventures here in Copenhagen. So this is your big chance to ask me things. Let's see. It says we're live. Oh, we've got a question. Hold on. I'm in slow motion here today. Kinshuk, hello. Any advice on gaining experience before finding my first UX job? Well, I can certainly do my best to make some suggestions there. I have been telling people it's pretty much the worst time I've ever seen in my life to try to find a first UX job. So it's not just you, it's thousands, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people all struggling. So, how do you find that experience? It's very hard. People have to look for anything that says, hi, an apprenticeship or internship. Some people won't qualify for an internship if they're only looking for people in a university program. You have to look for things that say apprenticeship, and they are very, very rare. And I think they're getting rarer because now that companies have been laying off tens or 100,000 UX workers, why bring in an intern if we think we can get an experienced person a little bit cheaper right now because maybe they're desperate, maybe there's more jobs than people. So The answers aren't great. You can try to do your own personal projects or passion projects, as they're sometimes called. But if an employer wants to see real work experience, those projects can be good practice, especially where you have a mentor or coach looking at them and giving you feedback and trying to help you be better. But if you real only real work experience is real work experience, and so practice is good, leveling up is good, getting coaching is good, but it's very hard right now to find that stuff. Hello, Kizeka. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at pronouncing people's names. So unfortunately, I don't have great news. It's not very good out there. There aren't a lot of options or opportunities. There aren't great courses. There aren't great ways to get into UX. And then I would even question, once you got into UX, would you be happy with the job? Because many jobs right now don't want people to find problems. They don't want people to solve problems. They just want people to do what someone else says. They just say, well, someone else has the idea, you make the screens. And for some people, that might be good enough. That might be creative. It might be interesting. But for personalities like mine who don't want to just be told, make a screen, it wouldn't be enough for me. I really do like to try to find and solve problems rather than just being a make screens person. So I think it's a really good time for people to take a good look at themselves and the economy and the environment and just, have to figure out, is UX still for me? It's not going to be for a lot of people. Some people got into it because it would be a great job for them, and those people should keep going. And some people got into it because they heard that it was a fun career to make a lot of money. And I can tell you it's mostly not fun, and salaries are going down. So you have to really, really love this and want this for all of this crap to be worth it. So sorry that it's bad news. Sorry that this is an ugly angle of me. But again, here I am in this. I don't know what else to do. There's like nothing in this hotel room for me to try to prop my laptop up and do any better. Plus, if I try to lift it up, you just end up seeing a hotel room bed and a bathroom door. I'm not sure this gets more glamorous. I've already tried to cancel the podcast I was going to be on tomorrow because I'm not sure this is the view I want everybody having of me. It's still better than the camera that came with my laptop, which I'm convinced was designed by men. I call it the boob cam. It's where you have a laptop, but the camera's at the bottom, so it shoots directly at your chest or at your fingers typing. So I'm pretty sure that was designed by men with no women involved, but I can't prove that. Hello, Shweta. Good afternoon. Am I enjoying my travels? Yes and no. I've been happy to see the people I've seen. I've been happy to speak to the groups I've been speaking to so far. But travel really reminds me so much of Larry Marine and all the things he teaches us about task analysis and knowledge design. Plug, plug. Our book is still, we're planning for that to be out at the end of April. But holy cats, there's so much about these city travel systems that treat you like you already know the city and the travel system. I bought a ticket. I didn't know what it was good for. I didn't know where I could go with it. I ended up buying the wrong ticket. Google had the wrong location for a tram stop for me. I couldn't find the tram without I can't tell the difference between Google's icon for a tram and a bus. So I was looking for the wrong thing. I mean, just so many wild, wild things that really could be better. We should have the technology for this to be better. We should have the technology now for someone to show up in a city they don't know and get around on their buses and systems. But nothing made sense to me. And then the other transportation app I used wanted me to buy a multi-day ticket, and I heard that was a good idea. So I wanted to buy the multi-day ticket, and the multi-day ticket asked me, do I want 24, 42, 70, 48, 72, 96, or 120 hours of travel? As if I think in hours for that long. Like, just call it a 5-day ticket. It made me more confused. So, so there's things I'm enjoying, but I'm also so reminded of how much good work could be done by good researchers and designers if people would just let them. That makes for an excellent service design opportunity. Yeah, thank you. I totally agree. It's absolutely a problem finding and problem solving adventure if someone would allow it to be so. But I think it's very easy to say these public transport systems are good enough and they'll figure it out and that kind of stuff. But you also have to remember, I'm in a country where I don't speak the language. Many people do speak English, but that's what if I didn't speak English? I mean, I was at breakfast this morning, the people next to me were speaking Italian. What are they going to say to people in Denmark and Sweden if they speak Italian? So, and not English. So, there's so many opportunities there, and it made me think of the time in Berlin that I also couldn't figure out the S-Bahn ticketing kiosks, which are infamous for how awful they are. And the train is coming in, and I'm on a deadline, and I was like, F everything, and I just jumped on the train without paying for it. And it was probably a $2 ticket or something that was really small and doesn't make or break any world economy. And I felt badly about it because it's not the right thing to do. But I literally could not figure out the ticketing system. And I started feeling like, if you can't build a ticketing system I can figure out and use, you don't get my money. Like that's our deal. So, yeah, so lots of things. Traveling reminds me of lots of things. Shweta says, unrelated to this, but I've seen immigration queues where old people who didn't speak the language were lost and scared. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. I mean, I'm so lucky and privileged to speak English. For some people, they're born speaking English because that's where they live, and other people learn it over time. And it right now kind of is the world's language, but it won't get me everywhere. And I try to start conversations asking if it's okay to speak English, and I find that some people do, and sometimes it's not the right language, and I can't speak English to people. So what's left? I don't know. Lots of pointing. Google Translate. Google Translate has been pretty awesome at times. Yeah, Demetra said no ticket inspector ever. Yeah, I even had to ask the ticket inspector on the train, like, what is my ticket? Where can I use it? Do I need another one? Did I get the right one? Anyway, this is supposed to be office hours, ask me anything, and not Deb complains about mass transit. So if you do have any questions for me, I am here for another 45 minutes. I'm checking everywhere to see if you are leaving me questions. Happy to take them. There's none, really. And I'm in a hotel room. I brought my portable ring light, which is just the cutest thing ever. And the only reason I don't look more of a disaster, if I can just say this, hold on. Uh, isn't this just super cute? So, little USB ring light so I can have some sort of light on me and not look completely vampiric, but still not the best angle of me and so on. Much better at my desk at home. But you do what you can when you are on the road. I'm going to be on the road all of the month of May, so I'm going to have to figure something out because the shows must go on. And I don't know why my what do you call it? My chat messages aren't clearing off the screen. I'm going to have to do some serious fix-ins when I get home and see what I can do to speed things up here. Oh, excuse me. Oh, at least I slept well last night. How's everybody sleeping? Oh, mm, mm, mm. To put on stage makeup. I feel like I'm about to do the opera or something. This dark room just made me look a little raccoon eyes. Well, hey, if you're going to be at UX Copenhagen, so will I. And I'm doing a 90-minute workshop on Thursday. Don't democratize UX research and a governance model if you are democratizing. But I'll also be doing it here on the YouTube channel on April 7th. So if you're going to miss it here this week in Copenhagen, don't worry. I'm going to do it in about 2 weeks on the channel here in its entirety. So a marathon 90-minute stream so that we can get that one on the channel. I did a 45-minute version at Design Research Australia last week and got a lot of super love around it. So I'm excited about that. Otherwise, I don't know what else to tell everybody. Apologies to people who are going to have coaching calls with me today. I'm going to look like this, and it's like way too close up, but yet not looking great at the same time. Okay, so we've got a question from Shweta. We'll put that in the description. Question about work. Oh, and we've got Faizan. Thank you. Shweta, question about work arrangements. I've seen companies hiring designers where I am based, and they see the designer similar to an engineer. There is an EM, but no design manager. Is this a red flag? Everything is a red flag. It doesn't mean it's terrible. To me, it's ultimately up to, does the engineering manager understand UX? Do they respect it? And ultimately, if you're managed by an engineering manager, then you have to assume you're not going to get a lot of UX help. You're not necessarily going to get great UX work reviews. They might look at it through the lens of engineering. So they might look at how fast you were and how much you got done and if you moved everything down the assembly line. But people are not going to necessarily look at your craft and say, oh, hey, did you try looking at it from this perspective? So you have to go into a job like that where there isn't a UX manager or someone senior to you who can review your work and just say, well, I guess I'm kind of alone here. And so in that case, I would recommend, you, Shweta, because you can probably get the work done and you don't need that much input. You're that senior. But most people, I think, would struggle in that environment because they would want other UX people and more senior people to help them level up. But you're quite leveled up personally, so I'm not as afraid of that for you. But you have to really find out, like, what is this job? Because if they really just see UX as part of the engineering team, very often that's a speed over quality job, and they really just want you to push things down the assembly line. And if you want to take an extra day or two to do something better, that's probably going to be seen as sacrilegious. So I think you just have to take a team like that and get to know some of its priorities and kind of what their perspectives are on the quality of UX work, because we can certainly speak to the quality of engineering work. We care about writing good code. We want to check that code. We don't want to put out bugs, but do we care about the quality of UX work? Are we going to do usability testing? Are we going to make time to make sure that we're doing the right thing? Do we do any early research, or is everything just from guessing? So I think there are some pretty common questions that you can ask that would help you better know kind of what you're getting into. So I hope that helps. All right, let's take the next question, which is, of course, AI, and then we'll get to Kinshuk's question. Let me paste this into the question system. Okay, let's see. All right, this says, what are your thoughts on AI impact on UX industry and how it can benefit it? I'm not seeing a huge number of benefits right now. I do see a lot of drawbacks, but I think where there are benefits for what I'm really calling ML, because it's not artificially intelligent. Machines are not yet thinking for themselves. This is still machine learning, in that they are bots trained on models, and they are repeating back to you some form of existing information. So I think where ML can help UX is some people are finding positive experiences in just trying to spark some ideas. Some people have said, yeah, I'm using ChatGPT to try to give me ideas around a thing, but then I'm using my critical thinking and I'm, excluding any ideas that are crappy or generic or unusable. Um, some people said they're using ChatGPT to improve their writing, that they don't feel they're a very good writer, and they have these ML models try to clean up some of their writing. Some people said they've tried to have ML um, kind of summarize some of their notes, like some of their sessions with people and notes around those sessions. But I've heard sometimes ML gets it really right and the summaries are great, but more often I've heard that the summaries are not accurate and miss really key points. So currently I feel like it's an interesting technology, but I'm still not a fan of it and I'm still not using it. I'm also concerned that if I were to put real research data into it or private things we're working on at our company, we don't know how that information is going to be used. We might be training the model and they might spit it out to someone else, and that information was confidential. So I'm currently not really recommending AI or ML for work related things, especially where we don't know much about how that information is being handled, if it's kept private or if it's training a model. I don't often like what it spits back at us. I asked ChatGPT the other day who I was, and it had two incorrect pieces of information. It had some correct pieces of information, but it had two factually incorrect pieces of information about me. And my thought was, wow, where did it come up with that? Seriously, how did it come up with that? Because it had a bunch of right information and some wrong information, and I think that's what we can expect from it for now. That's where it is. You're going to get some good stuff and you're going to get some bad stuff. And the question is, are you checking it? Are you paying attention? We can't leave it alone yet. It's still a tiny baby. So I don't think I see people saying, "Oh wow, I'm using it to write my research questions." So far, many of those questions that I've seen were poor research questions. A lot of research questions and a lot of models and online stuff are bad questions. So if you train a model on bad questions, congratulations, you now have bad questions. Shweta wants to remind us that Microsoft laid off their ethics department. Twitter laid off their diversity, equity, and inclusion department, and Atlassian laid off many researchers as well. Microsoft laid off their ethics department, which doesn't bode well for AI, who's looking into all of this now. Yeah, totally unknown, unanswered questions, and I don't like where it's going. Let's grab our next question, which is from new friend Kinshuk. And this says, for those interested in growing as a service designer, is it better to start as a researcher or a designer, as entry-level roles in service design are hard to find? Entry-level roles in service design are very hard to find. I was just talking about that to someone last night. And which do I think is more important? I probably tend to think the research is more important. Sometimes when I talk to service designers about what their work is like, it's a lot of um, planning and organization and strategizing, research, what's the word I'm looking for? Analyzing and synthesizing the research. And then sometimes they're partnering with other designers. They're partnering with UX or digital designers. They're partnering with industrial designers or people who plan spaces. So I've tended to see where service designers tend to give other people some of their work. It sounds like they tend to pass off or share some of the design work and tend to keep a lot of the research work for themselves. The research and all of the artifacts that they tend to make, whether those are personas or typologies or service blueprints or task analysis or customer journey maps. So I would probably say it's more important to get better at research, since I less often see service designers sharing that work and I more often see them sharing in the design work, especially if they need to bring in a specialist in an area where they're not a specialist, like again, industrial design or planning space or architecture. So, yeah, entry level roles in service design are really hard to find. Sure, Faizan, happy to give any answers I can. That's why I'm here. Normally, we do the show every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Once a month, I do this early one at 10 a.m. Italy time, but that's just once a month. And you can always check the Google Calendar that we have at deltacx.com/links at the top of the screen. And we have a Google Calendar there of all of our upcoming shows. And that way, you know what's coming. Because I did cancel all of the, um, what's going on here? Yeah, sure. I did cancel a lot of this week's shows so that I could focus on the Copenhagen stuff here and wrapping up a project for a client, which is due on Thursday. Haha, great timing, but we're enjoying it and it's going well. So this is the last show for this week. Tomorrow is book club, but that's not on YouTube. That's on Google Meet. And then next week, to make up for it, we will have 4 live shows: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Thursday. I'm doing a workshop on Miro with the Miro people through Miro's system. So there's a sign up through Miro. That's Thursday, but the other days are. So Monday is going to be Think Out Loud about planning research for products that don't exist. Tuesday is office hours with John N.A. Brown. I better see if he's still free. Wednesday is book club, and Friday will be critical thinking. I've already gotten a couple of things sent in. So normally I'm here for an hour. If there's anything that I can answer or speak about, this is Ask Me Anything. I'm really happy to take any questions at all. No question is unintelligent. No question. I'm sure some questions could be inappropriate, but in general, questions are welcome, and I'm here to kind of do free, open mentoring for people for free. So let me know what I can do other than sit here and keep trying to hydrate and drink water. And if I could be sponsored, I would pick platypus. Not sponsored, but I sure love these little bottles. They're great to go through airport security or just travel with you because they're thin and light and sturdy, and this holds a liter. Just clean it out really well, or you will grow things in there. So when I'm not traveling, I keep it in the freezer so nobody grows in there. Not sponsored. Oh, I didn't even turn on my effects today. I'm so sleepy. I slept well last night, but I'm still like 3 days of sleepy kind of catching up with me. I could try to. No, I'm not going to be able to connect my effects from my phone because I'm VPN'd. I'm in many countries at the same time. Hmm. Yeah, so let's give it a few more minutes. Oh, Schweitzer says UX is in a strange place. I consistently see two themes: juniors struggling with their job search, true, and seniors 10 plus years and above getting burned out. I don't have a question, but it's interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing that too, and I even got asked about that at last night's meetup. Last night's meetup was kind of an open Q&A, and I did get a question about like, if you've been working in UX a while and you're a bit tired of how it tends to go, what's next? What's next for you? Where is this going? What can we do? And so I do get that one from time to time. And I think people are burned out not really by the work, but just by the inability for us to do what we're here to do. Yeah, how does one join the Miro session? I don't know. I don't even have a link to the Miro session. Let me see. I know I was. Where is that? Let me check my. I know I scheduled a social post to post the Miro session. Let me see if I can find it because now I don't. That's a good question. Someone they need to invite me to a thing. Um, no, wait, they just posted it on LinkedIn yesterday, and I commented on it. Let me see if I can find that post. Hold on. think my computer wants a vacation. Did anybody see that post from Karen M? Let me try to find it. So the Miro session, I'm doing a microscopic, 10 slide version of transforming toward customer centricity, now called strategizing products and customer experiences. So obviously the 10 slide version is really short, and then we're going to do an exercise in Miro. So it's a little bit of a teaser for my longer workshop, which is like 3 half days. Let me see if I can find it. I know they posted something yesterday because I got a LinkedIn thing like, you got tagged. Where did it go? Here it is. Why does LinkedIn make it so hard to find things? Okay, let's see. And how do you join the book club? Let's see. This is the LinkedIn way to go. Let me try to paste that. That was YouTube. Let me try to paste that in LinkedIn. Also, the book club is totally free. You just have to show up. If you go to deltacx.com/links, you should find our Google Calendar, and the Google Calendar will have a calendar event in it tomorrow for the book club. It's a Google Meet URL, so it's just kind of a group video call. It's not recorded, it's not broadcast on YouTube, it's not saved in any way. It's just for the people who happen to be there. And it's just an open discussion. Some people have read the book, some people have not read the book, some people don't even have the book. It's totally fine to come. I don't quiz you on the book. Hold on, let me paste this here. Here we go. So this should be I'm over on LinkedIn now. This should be the link to Karen's post with how to join the Miro event. So thanks for your patience there as I navigate all that stuff. But yeah, the book club is just a Google Meet. You don't have to sign up or anything. Okay, we have what looks like a question coming in, and let me make sure I didn't miss any anonymous questions. No. Okay, Funmilola. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I hope that's close enough. Help me out. Um, so this looks like a question. Let's get it up on the screen and talk about it. Oh, it's up on the screen now, and that's cool. So it says, my friends and I are working on designing a mobile app for the deaf and mute community. We discovered that many apps that exist are either full of ads or they have a bad UI. We're thinking of integrating features that will not only help the community, but other members of society. We want to promote inclusiveness and accessibility through the mobile app. What features would you suggest we include in this design? Okay, so that is pretty much never the question to ask, but it's good to learn and good to. I'm glad you asked me. So thank you for being here. So, what features would you put in this design? Assumes that I have extensive information about the target audience, their needs, their tasks, their workflows. It implies that I have a lot of domain knowledge, implies that I have some idea what this app is even about. Is it banking? Is it ordering food? Is it getting directions? Is it dating? I have no idea. So I can't begin to even guess at what features an app should have, but ultimately what features I think the app should have does not matter because I am not the user. What features you think the app should have doesn't matter, you're not the user. The idea should be to research your target audience to see, based on the domain you're thinking of creating the app in, what is their workflow? What are their tasks? How do they do this now? Where is that working for them and where is it not working for them? What are their unmet needs? That is where you will find the answers. Once you have that, you can write your problem statements and say, okay, these are their pain points and their problems. These are how current things do not serve this community. And so our app will serve this community and these unmet needs by doing this, this, and this, and that's where you get your features. So don't be feature first. Don't be like, hey, we want to make something for deaf and hard of hearing people. What should we make? Don't ask me. And don't ask them because they might not know what they need. They might not know what best solves their problems. If we are problem finders and problem solvers, then we have to do the research that will get us there. So I can't begin to answer this question, and I'm the wrong person to ask because it's not like there's a list of if you're making an app for deaf or hard of hearing people, here's a checklist of features you should have. Ultimately, you have to build the app that works for those people and you need to work with them so that you're not making guesses about them or assumptions about them or stereotypes about them. You have to work with them to see what they need and how they need it. How do they do things now? How do they use accessibility devices? How do they use um, text to speech, or how do they use captioning systems or generated captions? Do auto generated captions work? So make sure you're building something that works for these people based on who these people truly are and not things we make up about them. Because one of the biggest problems with these types of apps is that they are designed without these people involved. We claim we have empathy for these people, and then we go and design something totally made by and for non-deaf people. And very often it's like, oh, we're going to make an app that uses AI or something to read sign language. And it's like, well, who asked for that? So um, the best answer to your question is, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What problem are you solving? And who are you solving that for? And make sure that if you are working with deaf or hard of hearing or non-speaking people, that you are interviewing and observing a lot of them, not just two. You've got to meet a lot of them and just learn all the different ways that they do things, different styles. In my book, in chapter 13, Sherry Byrne-Haber reminds us that when we are researching with this type of community, it's really important to meet people who were born this way and have always this is the only way they've known things, and people who later developed these disabilities. So people who were born with some or all of their hearing, but then later ended up with some or none of their hearing, they will have a different perspective because they had to later learn to use assistive and accessibility devices. So you can't just put all these people in one bucket. There's going to be lots of different subgroups of people, and you want to make sure to include them. I hope this information has helped. I don't know if I'm missing a follow-up question from you, but nothing came up on the chat, so I'm hoping that helped. Follow-up questions are welcome. Good night. Oh, it's my husband. Hi, honey. I slept well, but I'm really sleepy. I'll go to bed early again. How are you, honey? How's the dogs? How's the weather? It's gray and cold here. That's one way to keep in touch with your loved ones. YouTube live stream. Yes, hello. Uh, oh, yes, we must do more critical thinking. You know, we can't we see all this stuff from Chat GPT, and we can't just be like, "Hey, I think I'll ask Chat GPT what features an app for deaf people will have," because it's just going to give you stereotyped answers based on whatever it's read before. It can't invent something. It's not going to innovate something. It's going to spit back whatever other people have done, which may or may not have been good, which may or may not have been insulting. It's so, we have to look a little more closer. Yeah, I hope it helps. Critical thinking, always critical thinking. Just don't assume, hey, I want to make something for deaf people. What does Debbie think? It doesn't matter. Pier Mario says the weather is glorious, sunny and mild. Third day with windows open, and low ego action hero mascot's collar has a fresh battery. Thank you. This helps and wakes you up. I hope so. Ah. Um, okay. Oh, Shwetch has got a question. Who is your typical audience at conferences? Are they designers or non-designers as well? I think it really depends on the conference because I tend to speak at conferences that are sometimes specialized. So here at UX Copenhagen, obviously we've got UX people, and a lot of them are going to be researchers and designers, but there are some content strategists and writers, and I think there are also some service designers. So this is kind of a pan UX conference. Yesterday morning, excuse me, I did a private corporate training and I had product managers, UX people, a QA manager, and I think some other product managers. So that was a real nice mix. Sometimes I speak at engineering conferences. I speak at agile and engineering conferences, and there I mostly get engineers, QA, developer managers, agile coaches, scrum masters, sometimes program managers or portfolio managers if you have like SAFe or something like that. So my audiences really vary based on the event that I'm speaking at. When I go on my speaking tour in May, my first conference is an engineering conference. I'm up against Guy. I just can't believe they put me up against Guy. Everybody's going to go see Guy. I'm going to have three people in my session, but oh well, I will have tried. A Guy Royce? I always forget how you spell his last name, but he's so good. Um, so I've got an engineering conference, and then a week later, I have an engineering conference. And there I'm doing a new session that I think is going to be fun. I called it WTFUX AMA. I said, come and ask any questions you have about UX because it's an engineering conference. Like it's a 20-minute Q&A. Hey, you probably don't really know what UX is. You don't know what these people do. You don't know if they're doing it well. You don't know how to work with them. Come ask me the questions you're afraid to ask your coworkers. So that's a new thing that I submitted to this conference, and I wonder how it'll go. Diana, I loved your talk on critical thinking last week. Yeah, thanks. We do that every other week on Friday here on the channel. So it won't be this Friday, it'll be next Friday. Um, you mentioned something there that I was wondering about. You said there's a lot to learn from users' behavior before and after they interact with the product. Can you elaborate on that? Yeah, I'd love to. And maybe this will help our new friend Funmilola as well, if that person is still here. So let's try to imagine. Let's just take the example that I'm living right now. I'm in a foreign country, foreign to me. I'm in a country where I don't speak the language, and I've got an app where I can buy tickets for a transportation system. Now, what's the first thing that's happening in my experience? Think of the end-to-end experience, the end-to-end customer journey. Oh no, this says LinkedIn user. So, and I don't have my browser open. Who is it? It just says LinkedIn user. Who are you? Um, so think about me. What's the first thing that happens in my journey? The first thing that happens in my journey isn't Debbie opens the app. The first thing that happens is what I call a trigger. What is that thing that happens? Oh, good, you're still here. What's that thing that happens that makes me need to travel Forget about the app. I'm not even there yet. I have a reason to travel. Okay, Debbie is at the airport and has to get to her hotel. Debbie's at the hotel and has to get to the place where she's speaking. I've got some reason to need to travel. What do I do next? That's the next thing in my customer journey or task analysis or service blueprint. Then the next thing I do might not be open the app. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. I could look at Google Maps to see if I can figure out where I'm going and how I might get there. I might go down to the hotel and talk to the front desk and say, hey, I have to go to this part of town. What's the best way to get there? So when you really think about the end-to-end customer journey or that end-to-end experience, you start to realize how many things happen outside of your company's product, like the experiences that I might have before I open up the travel app, and then things happen after the travel app. Because, for example, I ended up buying my ticket through the Denmark travel app, but all I have to do is now show the ticket on my phone to the driver when I get on the bus or whatever, and they go like, "Yeah, whatever." But then I'm done with the app. I have to go back to Google Maps to help me really get where I'm going, to see where the next stops are, to figure out when I want to get off the bus, to figure out where to walk after I get off the bus. So there's all these things that happen before and after my time in your ecosystem, as I call it. So if you're working for the National Mass Transit Bureau and this is your app, cool. But there's all these things I do before I'm in your app, and there's all these things I do after I'm in your app. And a curious question and a really good kind of CX question is, what else could the Scandinavian or Denmark or Sweden travel app cover that would have helped me more? These apps were okay for buying tickets, but really bad for making me feel like I understood how to get around. They were really bad for helping me understand which ticket to buy. They had a picture of a map, but I couldn't tap on the map to show it where I wanted to go. The map wasn't clickable. So, sure, there are things that the app people could improve. But wow, what about the rest of my experience? What if the app really took into consideration what else I'm trying to do and helped me with any part of it? Any part of it. Any part of it. So, who was the mysterious LinkedIn user? And Diana, does that help? Um, is that making more sense? Hopefully that's a good on the fly random story, and hopefully that gets our other friend thinking about that full experience and not just, our app is this moment in time. Good luck, because now I have. And because then also I don't need the app so much. As soon as I was done with the Swedish app, I uninstalled it, and now I'm in Denmark. And as soon as I'm done showing people tickets, I'll uninstall it. But it would have been great if it had helped me more with planning and understanding where I am. The apps really treat me like I'm an expert in the local transit system. But even when I went to hotel front desks and said, like, did I buy the right ticket? Am I doing this right? They weren't sure. And they live here. So, it's a not fantastically easy system. It's troubled. It's it's sad. Yes, it does. Lots to think about now. Yeah, exactly. I think when we sometimes see UX or CX as, well, this is when people are using our companies, whatever, we're really missing out not only on just a better understanding of the target users and customers, but we're missing out on a better understanding of what else we could solve for them. And I'll be talking about that more on Monday's show. So this topic will come back up again because Monday's show, we're going to be talking about how do we plan research when we want to try to figure out a product that doesn't exist yet. And I'll be talking more about how we plan that research. And part of that discussion will be a reminder, and this is probably a good story to use again, so I hope you don't fall asleep, but a reminder of what the true customer or user workflow is. Take yesterday. Yesterday I got off the train It dumped me in like this food court mini mall. I decided to get some food. Most places had touchscreen kiosk ordering. Seems cool, right? Most places only had them in Danish because I'm in Denmark. I couldn't order from the food no matter how good it looked. I couldn't make sense of the menu. I have food allergies. I couldn't tell what these things were. I was afraid of eating the wrong thing. So I just kept walking to more places until I found a place with an English kiosk. That's the company that got my business. Not because it was the best hamburger in the mini mall, not because it was the best decorated or the best prices. Who knows? Maybe I paid the most and maybe I got the worst burger. I don't even know. All I know is I got the only burger I could order because they had an English ordering system. They won my business by making something that made sense to me. Already added it to my agenda. Cool. Thank you for inspiring the example and reminding me to talk about that end-to-end customer journey. But that's really where we find a lot of the diamonds is like, ooh, whoa, before this, there's a whole bunch of things people have to do. They think and they decide and they might have collaborators. You know, if I were here with my husband, it would be like, honey, what do you think? And what do you want to do? And what do you know about this place? 'Cause but we both realized neither of us had been to Copenhagen in like 30 years, so I don't have any memory of it. I really don't. I look around and I go, bricks, yes, bricks. I remember this place having a lot of bricks. That's about it. So I'm as good as a newbie, and but sometimes again, the opportunities are, hey, there's collaborators involved, or there's other people involved, and like last night, I couldn't make sense in the in Google helps me get around. I took the number 33 bus to where I was going, but then when I asked Google how to get back, they said, "Oh, you'll have to take the number 33 bus to the number 23 bus." And I was like, "Why doesn't the 33 just go back to where I came from? I took it here. Why can't I just take it back?" So here's an interesting thing. Google was giving me options on how to get to where I was going. And there were faster options than the one I picked. I picked the number 33 bus. There were faster options. Take this metro line to this metro line. Can anybody guess why I didn't want to take this metro line to this metro line and I just took the number 33 bus to where I was going? I know we're delayed about 40 seconds, but let's use your critical thinking before we sign off and let's see if you can guess why I picked the longer way. Anybody? Anybody still here? Anybody want to guess? I know it's a long delay. 40 seconds feels very long on this show. Anybody? Maybe not. Okay, so if nobody has a guess, or if you're still typing, as to why would I take a longer bus route than a metro train changing to a metro train? I'm in a country where I don't speak the language, and the kiosk app lacks inclusivity. Possible. Um, Certainly not thinking about visitors, just thinking about locals. So I didn't want to take the metro to the metro because I find that it's often very confusing in cities to know if I'm taking a metro or subway in the right direction. Very often they don't say like the metro going north or the metro this way. Sometimes it's the metro to the last station and I don't know what the last station is. I just know the station I want to go to. And sometimes I can't find the map in the metro station. So I don't know if I'm about to take the train in the right direction or not. So number one, really easy to take a metro train in the wrong direction. Number two, there was a change of trains. And I figured, wow, if there's a good percentage I'm going to get one train wrong and go in the wrong direction, what's my chances of getting two trains wrong and going in the wrong direction? And I'm the speaker at the event. I need to get there on time, the right way, the first time. Google Maps makes it really easy to catch buses because it's pretty clear what side of the street the bus stop is on. I can be pretty confident that I've gotten on the bus going in the right direction. I don't think I've messed that one up yet, but metro trains for me in cities I don't know are so much likelihood of error. Diana says to understand the thinking behind the decision of not using the same road. No. For sightseeing, no. I took the longer bus. I know it sounds like cool, the bus. Let's see some things. But I took the bus again to keep myself from making mistakes. It's really that simple. But it's only because I am a planning, critical thinking, think ahead personality. Someone else might have said, "Hey, it's faster to take the metro. Let's just jump down and give it a try." And they might have been just fine. But my thought was, uh-oh, I'm the speaker at the event. I need to be there early. I don't want to start messing with the train system when I might get this wrong. I might get on a metro going in the wrong direction. And I know from lots of stories about tourists back when I lived in New York City, there's a couple of metro trains, there's a couple of stops. Like if you think of the E line in New York City at Lexington and 53rd, if you get on that going in the wrong way, you are then on like a 10-15 minute ride beneath the Earth's crust, and you end up in Queens. You're out of Manhattan and you're in Queens. And then you're like, I'm not even in the same county I was just in. And you can really lose a lot of time. Shweta's got a good question. How about a taxi? Yeah, the cost of a taxi is not my preferred way to go. I'm trying to keep my costs very low right now for various reasons, mostly reflected by the economy. So if I don't need to take a taxi, I don't want to take a taxi. I'm probably going to mostly take lifts in America because the mass transit in America just was never really built up to work the way Europe does. But in Europe, I try to do mass transit as much as possible, and Google's usually pretty helpful. Um, Funmilola says, how would you define a project scope in the context of UX research and design? So we actually have some shows about this in the YouTube channel. If you come to Delta CX on YouTube, and please subscribe. We're still shadow banned, but we're coming up on 7,000 subscribers. Please subscribe at Delta CX on YouTube. I've got a couple of shows in the micro lessons playlist about planning projects. Now, ultimately, what is the project scope for research and design? That usually implies that you have experience doing this and you can say, aha, this project needs this type of research with this many people, so I'm going to estimate this much time to do it. So it's often very hard for people newer to UX or CX to estimate projects because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how long these things are going to take. And I think in one of the videos, I introduced my spreadsheet that I use as a little cheat sheet for trying to calculate some of how long things can take. But it still requires knowledge. It still requires what methods am I using and how many people do I want to observe or interview or whatever method I'm going to do. And we even have part of the sheet where the calculation is different if you have videos of people than if you just have audios of people, where if you just talk to them, even on a video call, versus videos of like watching them do a thing. Um, so defining a project scope is, again, not one thing I can tell you, like what features do people need. I can't say what's the scope. Typically, the scope is something you're working out with your client because you would have to have them sign a contract for the scope of the project. This is the agreed upon work that you're doing for them. And if they ask for more work, the contract says you have the right to charge them extra. So check also, I don't know if it's in micro lessons, but also search on YouTube. Just put in like Delta CX freelancing or Delta CX freelancer. We have a couple of videos there about making sure you have the right contracts because otherwise you could end up in a really bad position where your relationship with the client is out of control. They keep asking for more stuff. You don't want to do it, or you want to charge them extra, but you don't have a contract that says you can. They fire you at some point. They want all your money back, their money back. You don't have a contract that says what happens if they fire you or can they fire you. So I would say definitely come to the YouTube channel and search for things like Delta CX planning, Delta CX freelancing, Delta CX freelancer. I don't know how good the YouTube search is. I don't know if freelancing and freelancer will give you very different results or not. But those are some of the videos to watch because again, I can't just say, "Ah, this is your scope." That's it. The scope is usually a thing that you agree upon with your client. We just had a new client sign our contract yesterday, so we're super excited. But it took us days to go back and forth with the client on the scope. I originally thought the project was this big, and then I learned it was actually this big. And so I had to change the scope. That changed the price. And then the client said, "Oh, should we do this twice or once?" And we went back and forth on pros and cons of two of these versus one of these. And we decided on one of these. And then I had to update the contract, get them a fresh contract, and represent that scope appropriately. So there isn't just one scope because there isn't just one research or one design. All of these are an endless, endless rainbow of possibilities of methods, phases, tasks, approaches, numbers of people, styles of doing work. I can't tell you the one way to go. So, with that, we're out of time today. Thanks to everybody who came by and brought the show to life. This was Office Hours Ask Me Anything, which I do every Tuesday at 6 p.m. 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Today is a special early one that I do once a month at 10 a.m. Italy time. Otherwise, next week we'll be back to the regular time. There won't be a 6:30 p.m. today. I am meeting one of you for dinner. And I would rather cancel the show and make personal connection with you than not see you for dinner and have a show. So no more shows this week. Book club tomorrow. Oh, I don't even have my own book with me. Well, I'll have to use my Kindle version. So if you don't have my book, you can go to so what is it? cxcc.to/CKYS, all lowercase, and that will show you all of the options for buying the book from Audible and Amazon to buying it for $1 off my website as a download. That's an option as well. So thanks to some of the new names and people who came today. I hope we'll see you again soon. Don't forget at deltacx.com/links, we have the Google Calendar with everything that's coming, as well as our completely free Slack and Discord communities. Our Slack community is more active than our Discord community, but you're welcome to join one or both. So with that, I'm going to sign off and get back to work because unlike some other people, I actually do the work. I don't mean you people here. Some talking heads in the world of UX. I'm actually doing the work. So I'm going to get back to doing the work. Great to see and meet some of you. Diana, I expect to see you at Monday's show or a note from your doctor. And hopefully we'll continue all this again. Get those questions ready for Monday's show. I'm really excited. It's going to be how do you plan a project? How do you plan research for a product that doesn't exist? So thanks. Have a super rest of your week and weekend, and I'll see everybody next week. Thanks. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are